I want to just be careful to say you can do all the right things and your man still has free will. So I'm not saying that doing these things are an absolute guarantee that he's not going to stray, but this will help ensure that he does not go to this adultery or pornography. These are things you can do. And the first one really is to educate yourself on the impact of pornography on marriages and families. Porn use ends up tearing families apart. It ends up ruining marriages. It displeases God. I mean, I could go on and on. It also, in case you don't know, porn use almost always escalates in terms of perversity, and it can even end in criminal activity. It's like a progressive disease. It does not usually stay at one level, and that's very important for you to know. I wanted to give you some statistics and these are actually old statistics, like several of these are 14, 15 years old, so I know it's worse than that right now. But according to a 2000 study of college freshmen, it found that the habitual use, basically the steady use of pornography, led to greater tolerance of sexually explicit material, thus requiring more novel and bizarre material to achieve the same level of arousal or interest. Did you catch that? Mm-hmm. This is what I'm talking about, the escalation. For example, habituation, which is a fancy word for saying, continual routine use of pornography, may lead to watching depictions of group sex, sadomasochistic practices, and sexual contact with animals, engaging in anal intercourse, and trivializing non-violent forms of the sexual abuse of children. This is what they found. The man, even a nice Christian man or 20-year-old guy or whatever, will just, be looking at a little pornography. But after a year of doing that, he's got like a tolerance to that soft core porn. To get the same level of arousal, he has to go to something a little more perverse. And then another year later, that's not working, so I have to go a little more perverse. And pretty soon this nice guy, who may love God but be ensnared in this thing, he's now looking at stuff that makes his skin crawl. Like, it's not good. He knows it's not good. He feels really dark inside about what he's doing, but it's like he's addicted and he has to get a progressively bigger fix. That's how disgusting pornography is. Another study found that when the viewing of pornography rises to the level of addiction, 40% of these sex addicts lose their spouses, 58%, that's almost 60%, suffer considerable financial loss, and 1/3 lose their jobs because they can't stop looking at work. One more thing, I know I could go on with stats, and these are actually old stats, so I know the situation's worse now. Stephen Stack, who's a researcher at Wayne State University, showed that pornography use increased the marital infidelity rate by more than 300%. So a man who's steadily looking at porn, there's a 300% more likely chance that he will have an outside affair. Not good. So don't ever put your head in the sand on this issue and think, oh, it's not that bad. It is that bad. Secondly, educate yourself on the red flags indicating your husband might have a pornography problem. And let me give you some of the common red flags. These are just some of the common ones. Openly ogling, however you want to say it, women. Openly ogling women, since this shows a lack of self-control and a fixation on viewing women in a sexual manner. So if you catch your guy kind of like, doing the, staring at a woman's breast or something openly, like not even seeming to think that's any big deal, that can be a red flag, that he's already trivializing women and thinking of them as sex objects. Secondly, excessive time on the computer and quickly closing screens when you walk in the room. A lack of interest in you sexually, since he may have satisfied himself while viewing porn. There have been a lot of women that have come to me with this particular problem, and it's sad. They're the ones going like, why doesn't my husband ever want to have sex with me? This is so weird, I'm in my 20s, I'm in shape, everything. What's going on? And come to find out, he's been basically masturbating 5-10 times a day, watching pornography. He's all spent. And it was very quick and easy. He's got it down to a science, and it's done and over with. And boy, making love to you, it's a lot more effort, and you're not ready like that. He can just run to the bathroom and take care of that in 2 minutes. So yeah, so that's a common sign. Another one is a request for increasingly perverse sexual acts with you. Like he was kind of like this, and now all of a sudden lately he wants you to do things that are just strange or odd, and it seems like this is now happening more and more often. That can be because he's seeing it in pornography and wants to simulate it with you. And the last one that's common is not being as social as he used to be and just not seeming very present. Those are some common red flags. And there are more, but those are very common ones. Okay, next point, be proactive and sit down with your husband this week. Like, don't put this off. Sit down this week to communicate your stance on pornography. Kindly but firmly let your husband know you have a zero tolerance for porn. Remember what Jesus said in Matthew 5:28? I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. And also in Ephesians 5:3, there must not even be a hint of sexual immorality. So take this seriously. Clearly communicate to your husband that porn is off limits, not okay with you at all. And let him know if he has been viewing porn that you want to work with him for him to overcome this problem. You don't want to treat him like he is the biggest disgusting loser out there, because he's just going to get all defensive and shut you off. And so you're still his helper, right? You're still his helper to come alongside gently, respectfully, lovingly say, if you have been viewing pornography, let's work together on figuring out how to solve this, because this is not okay with me. I want to work with you on this. See how that's so much going to be received so much better than, I can't believe you disgust me. See, that's not going to work as well. Yeah. If he doesn't admit any porn use, if he says, no, but you suspect he has been, again, let him know that you take this really seriously and that you probably will be wanting to have some consequences if you ever catch him doing this, because this is not okay with you. You can even spell out what the consequences might be. It might be that, you know what, if that happens, we're going to cut off the internet in our house, and we're going to cut the cable, and we're going to, because this is not okay with me to have that in our house, or whatever it might be for you. You might need to do a Matthew 18, which we learned, was that last week? I forgot now. Matthew 18, verses 15 through 17. That's our key scripture for what to do if you need to confront your husband if he's sinning against you. Fourth point, show respect to your husband at all times and show that you value him and your marriage. This is huge. I can't say this enough times, that a man needs to feel your respect. If your man feels highly respected by you, he is going to be much less likely to seek another woman and even to seek pornography, because a man is wired to crave your respect. We know that from Ephesians 5:33, where the wife must respect her husband. Men just need respect. They need you to show respect to them. You don't necessarily have to feel respect to show respect, right? You can act respectfully. And if you do that, he's much less likely to seek another woman. Fifth point, intentionally build an active sex life with your man and get him intoxicated with your love. Proverbs 5:18 to 19. I just love this verse because God is so descriptive in the Bible, isn't he? This verse says, may your fountain be blessed. He's speaking to men, by the way. May your fountain be blessed, and may you rejoice in the wife of your youth, a loving doe, a graceful deer. May her breasts satisfy you always. May you ever be intoxicated with her love. I don't know, that just always freaks me out when it's like, that's in the Bible. Anyway, and here's the thing, if he's just like reeling with delight because you've intoxicated him with your love, your sexual love, your physical affection, he's gonna be less likely to be seeking that elsewhere, because he's like gaga, like, you know, when you're in a drunken stupor, he's just like, oh yeah, whatever, you know, because he's just so intoxicated with you. That's how we're supposed to be with our husbands. Now, I'm not saying that you're supposed to be like, you know, if you're on your deathbed or something, or, you know, you've got strep throat and, you know, you broke on hives yesterday and everything, and you're supposed to be like, oh yeah, I'm ready to go. No, I mean, you know, I'm not saying that, but as much as possible to build an active sex life with him and be an enthusiastic, responsive sexual partner. Let's get to the sixth point. See a counselor. See a counselor if you have problems being a willing sexual partner with your husband. And I'll just let you know, because this will probably be a story that unfortunately resonates with some of you, that I was sexually abused when I was a little girl. I know some women in this room have told me their stories that they also had that happen, and that can really mess with your sexuality. I mean, breaks your sexuality when you experience that. And so it's been really a difficult journey for me to try to find healing for that. I'm not even saying I'm 100% healed, but I'm way better than I was before. And I sought counsel. I saw a counselor. I still occasionally see the same counselor, kind of like a brush-up session, because I was broken sexually because of what happened to me, and there's nothing wrong. There should be no shame in saying, you know what, I think I'd benefit from seeing a counselor and trying to work through these issues, realize that it was not my fault, be able to forgive the people that did this, and be able to ask God to heal me. All that stuff, a counselor can help you work through that, a good Christian counselor. So see a counselor if you have a problem being an active, willing, enthusiastic sexual partner with your husband.